Some disturbing details now, just moments ago, because of this complaint. It appears he got there at 1:59 a.m. Was 1:31 when these incidents sort of all came together in the worst possible moment, and the Secret Service did their job. But if he was there until the golf course, 1:31, he had a GoPro. It sounded like when he was apprehended by the sheriff that he was pretty calm. What did it take from all this? Somebody who was able to, make those comments on social media, almost get this close. In light of what we saw in Butler, Matt, it seems just unbelievable in many ways.
Right. And this is the challenge, Bianca. And, I think there's a lot of thoughts. First of all, again, it's so lucky that President Trump has again, been able to avoid an assassination attempt on his life. And, God's, hand is certainly on President Trump. I think the left has a lot of soul searching to do with their rhetoric and how they have escalated, and quite frankly, have some responsibility to bear on these, continued threats against Donald Trump. The law enforcement that were there, with a Secret Service agent that engaged with this gentleman, and obviously the police in the counties that were able to bring him and arrest him and make sure that nobody was harmed. That's on an interstate highway. I mean, that's amazing. And so you add all that together, and the bottom line is the Secret Service at the highest levels are still failing. They allowed another rifle to get within firing distance from President Trump, and I just think they have to increase resources protecting him.
Well, yeah, that's part of what is concerning, because last Thursday, Roe had these closed-door meetings. The acting director, Ronald Roe, who's now in Florida, and one of the things was that we have constrained resources during this election cycle. Matthew, that's not going to change, nor is, I don't think the rhetoric, sadly, on the left. I want to play a little bit of Palm Beach County Sheriff Rick Bradshaw talking about the reality of the Secret Service protection for an acting former president here.
At this level that he is at right now, he's not the sitting president. If he was, we would have had this entire golf course around it. But because he's not, the security is limited to the areas that the Secret Service deems possible.
Is that a good enough answer for you? How do you work around that?
No, of course it's not a good enough answer. And, obviously, now that we've had 2 assassination attempts against Donald Trump, they have to improve how they're protecting him. But at the same time, I think these attempts also limit his ability to campaign and do what he's great at, is the impromptu, one-on-one and small group campaigning that works so well. Now, this happened on a golf course, but it's just, again, they're going to have to be as creative as these assassins are, and to really think through what the kind of exposure they're putting President Trump into.
Exactly. He's going to have a big rally in Long Island next week, so we're talking about all of that. And, Ron DeSantis says he'll be investigating. Eric Prince put up this tweet saying, assume direct control of the investigation into this attempt assassination of DJT. Tell the feds to wait in line until Florida resources have done a thorough and transparent look into all the evidence. The feds have dropped the ball thoroughly on Butler, Pennsylvania. Donald Trump certainly can get private security, but you're talking about, like you said, it's prime election season, and I think that is a concern as well. What is his visibility, and measuring that? There's a balance.
There is, and there's also a need for transparency from the Secret Service. I understand that they're stonewalling right now the investigation into the first attempt on President Trump's life, and certainly, Congress has an important role of oversight and of funding the Secret Service. And I think, Ron DeSantis announced that he's going to also have a state investigation. I think that's very important. We need more eyeballs on this to make sure that all former presidents and candidates for president are protected as much as possible, and it should be the highest goal of the Secret Service.